Shalom, how's everybody doing? Shalom. Hallelujah. It's a pleasure seeing everybody again today. A nice crowd, a nice turnout, so we're going to have a real nice lesson tonight. We're going to put the final touches on the topic that we've been going over for the last 3 weeks, 2019, the coming of the Mashiach. And I promise you, we're going to put the nail in the coffin tonight. Any doubts, anybody that might be riding the fence, we're going to really go into it tonight and make sure that everybody understands no pre-tribulation rapture. It's not going to happen. Hallelujah. Really not going to happen. So again, it's a pleasure seeing everybody here tonight. You might need your pens and pencils. We're going to do a little math to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And any questions, we're going to try to hold those until after the class so that we can try to get through this lesson as quick as possible. All right? Anybody have any questions so far? Good? Again, anybody have any testimonies they want to share before we get started? Okay, we have our brother Abad here.
Yes. So, everybody knows that I've been going through the interview process, the assessment test. So I officially got the job offer.
Okay, Maury, how are you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I'll be in management, and I'm actually going to be going third shift.
Third shift.
Yeah, so I got to get used to that, sleeping.
And what is third shift?
10:30 to 6:30 in the morning.
10:30, okay.
Yeah, so.
All right, I'll be up with you. Keep me up.
I'll keep you up. So, yeah.
Hallelujah. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? Okay, Shemai.
So recently, I started the EMT program, and I had my first test, the CPR written and physical, and we learned it yesterday and tested on it today, and I passed.
Okay. Everybody passed out. We got somebody that can resuscitate. So we'll be good.
Child, infant, and adults.
Oh, okay. So we covered. Yeah, we're covered. Anybody else? All right, Zakane.
Yeah, so, last month I was telling y'all that the brother was going to hire me at the beginning of 2019.
Uh-huh.
And he gave me a call yesterday, told me the site to go to, and put my stuff up, and he pulled my application, and I'm in there.
Oh, okay. Very good. Hallelujah. Anybody else? Okay, all right.
Well, as you all may remember, last week I came, looking real bachelor-like. but this time around, I have my Yashra'al with me, and I just want to thank you all for the wonderful reception y'all gave for every day. And
Hallelujah.
you guys more often.
Hey, hallelujah. Nice to have you here tonight with us. Hallelujah. So, Mishrakah, without further ado, we're going to start off facing the east. We're going to say the Father's Prayer. And we're going to have our Chief Zakane to blow the shofar for us 7 times. And we have a couple of things to read before we get into tonight's lesson. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right? Begin prayer for us, please.
Abinu Shabashaman, Yikadeshimka, or Yiparak Nakuka, Rasunka Yaya Yeshuit, Bashaman Put Ba'aret, Put At An Lak Menu Tabernacle. Avinu Lahide. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right. So, Mr. Carr, before we get started, we're going to read the renewed covenant in the book of Yahuah, the 31st chapter, verses 31 to 33. We're going to do that one together. Then after that, we'll read the 10 words that we all agreed to do in order to be a covenant relationship with the Father. Behold, the days come, said Yahuah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and the house of Yahuah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Yahuah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al after those days, says Yahuah. I will put my law in their inward hearts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All right. You're doing good. Good. Okay, so next we're going to read the 10 Commandments. And if you don't agree, don't read it. If you don't want to be in a covenant relationship, you need to think about it. Okay, the 10 Commandments, we're going to be reading from Shemot, or Exodus, the 20th chapter. We're going to read just down 1 to 10. And Yahuah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuah thy Elohim, which I brought thee out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohims before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, thyself, am thy Elohim, am the jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuah thy Elohim in vain, for Yahuah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it set apart. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuah thy Elohim. In it thou shalt do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them it is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahuah blessed the Shabbat day and made it set apart. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahuah thy Elohim giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. Excellent. And as always, Mr. Carr, we want to make sure that we give all the thanks to the Father of Yahuah for all his greatness, his love, his mercy, his kindness, everything that the Father has been bestowing upon his people, the 12 tribes of Israel. We are forever in his debt. We want to always make sure that we recognize and acknowledge that at all times. All respect and honor must be due and given to the Father for his everlasting mercies that he's been showing, again, his people, the 12 tribes of Israel. Let's never forget that. Everybody should have their notes here, and we're going to be going over the notes and trying to put the final touches on today's for tonight's class. And as we have, I just want to make sure I give all peace and blessings to the congregation of Yashra'al and to the 12 tribes of Yashra'al that are scattered abroad. Okay, we are scattered abroad because of disobedience, but the Father promised that he would reconcile his people back to him again.
Hallelujah.
Great, hallelujah. I'm going to, Noah, if somebody can read the book of James, or Yahuah 1:1 for me. I want to try to show a little difference here. The book of James 1:1, if you can get Abad, if you can read that for me, please.
James, a servant of Yahuah and of the sovereign Yahusha HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
Hallelujah. Now, again, writing is going to be extremely, extremely important. And just to let you know that the adversary knows exactly who we are, it's just that a lot of times we might miss it. And the books that we're reading is going to be very, very important. Now, watch how this is read in the Aramaic. We have Yahuah, or James, a servant of the Father and of our sovereign Yahusha HaMashiach. Watch how it goes. It says, to the 12 tribes dispersed amongst the Gentiles, greetings. So you see how the context changes a little bit? So that's going to be very, very important that we, just do proper research, making sure that we're cross-examining every single thing that we do. And just like Moray and I had talked about last week, is that context is going to be very, very important. So again, we have a salutation and a greeting in chapter 1, verse 1 of the book of Yahuah, or the book of James, sending out the greetings and peace and blessings to the 12 tribes. So greetings and salutations are very, very important, because this just gives us that acknowledgement that we want that Baruch and that blessings from the Father. So we have James talking about greetings to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 19. Now Yahuah is saying, this is very important, in order to be part of the covenant, it is very, very important, extremely important. And be you, my beloved brethren, every one of you, swift to hear. All right, that's very important. Be swift to hear and slow to speak and slow to wrath. Verse 20, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of Elohim. So we're talking about here now the criteria that makes up a servant of the Father of Yahuah, which is very important. So again, being swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Father Yahuah. Wherefore remove far from you all impurity and the abundance of wickedness, and with meekness receive the word that is implanted in our nature, which is able to, it has vivified these your souls. So I read it the other way, the way that it might be in the King James Version, verse 21. Wherefore remove from you all impurity and the abundance of wickedness, and with meekness receive the Torah, which is engrafted in our nature, which is able to save our souls. Now, what I wanted to look at was two very important words of interest that came into I needed to look at was the word save. We have the word save in verse 21. In verse 21, we in the King James Version. And the word save is associated with the word redeem. All right, redemption. Redemption is going to be very important because without redemption, there can be no salvation. So this actually explains why the Mashiach came, shed his blood, and he is that redeeming, or that redeemer that's going to actually bring the 12 tribes of Israel back together again. It's all about reunification. So what James is saying from the very beginning, he's giving out his salutation, his greetings to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he's giving instructions now on how to actually be in covenant with the Father, where there can be no malice, no envy, no jealousy, none of those things there, all right, is going to make it into the kingdom. None of it. We have to learn how to love, appreciate, and show admiration towards one another. This is the family here. These are the building blocks that we must rehearse here before the final day or the marriage supper. And I know everybody here wants to be part of that marriage supper. I said no. Okay. Hallelujah. The next word I wanted to look at was the word souls. All right. And it's the Greek number 5590, and we have the word puske. Puske. And Greek is actually coming from the Hebrew. All right. So what we have now is what we call a mutt language. And so what I found very interesting in the word puske, puske. Now, those of us that understand a little Hebrew, what is the word that stands out here most? And this is Greek, but you should be able to find some Hebrew here. Kai. Absolutely. Hallelujah. And this means life. All right? Life. So the Father sent his Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, to be that redeeming, all right, or that ultimate sacrifice for the nation of Yashra'al, so that the nation of Yashra'al might have life. All right, so the Greek and the Hebrew is going to be very, very important, because when we begin to break these words down, and we'll do that a little bit later on, we're going to see how even the Greek is sharing with us the importance of Yahushua HaMashiach. We're going to jump down to verses 22 to 23. Very important. In this walk here of Torah, listen to the instructions, all right, that Yaakov, James, is sharing with us. And everybody, please digest this. It's very important. Be you doers of Torah, or the word, and not hearers only. And do not deceive yourselves. For if any man should be a hearer of Torah, and not a doer of it, he will be like one who seeth his face in a mirror. For he seeth himself and passeth on, and forget what a man he was. So again, you can't hide from yourself. So the inner man must be a reflection of how we interact with one another. You can't say that I love Torah. You can't say that you love your brothers and sisters, but you're not actually or actively showing the love, the patience, all of the fruits of the Spirit that the Scriptures is telling us about, because again, this is the only way that we're going to be able to make it. I'll write it down. These 42 months, all right, is going to be very, very important. Nobody wants a spot on their wedding garment. And I'm going to ask any sister here, especially the sisters, at your wedding, do you want any spots, any blemishes on your wedding apparel?
No.
So absolutely. So we now know how particular the Father is. There must be no spots, no blemishes. So whatever it is that's bothering you, work that thing out. Work it out, okay? Because again, we must make sure that we follow Torah. Now, Jacob's trouble will last for 42 months. 42 months. 42 months is equivalent to 1,260 days. 3.5 years is going to be very, very important. So please be advised, the 1,260 days of Jacob's trouble, which is important now, will bring inflation. All right? It's going to bring a food shortage, death, war, famine, disease, and wild beasts. Things about to really, really take off. It really is. And there's no other book, okay, on the planet Earth today that is describing what's about to happen in these last days here. I challenge anybody. What's going to happen in these 42 months? Bring your proof. The way that the Scriptures is bringing the proof of what's about to happen to Jacob. The other nations too, but these things are being done to wake up the 12 tribes of Israel. Never forget that. So, again, it's going to bring inflation, food shortage, death, war, famine, disease, and wild beasts. My scriptural proof is the book of Luke. I'm going to go to the book of Luke, the 4th chapter, verse 25. If we can get Moray to read that for me, please. Chapter 4 in the book of Luke, or Lucas. And we're about to get down to the nitty-gritty here. And prayerfully, it'll be enough for everybody to step their game up. The 4th chapter, verses 12.
Luke, the
to
4th
23.
chapter, 25th verse. But I tell you the truth, many widows were in Israel in the day of Elias, when the heaven was shut up 3 years and 6 months.
How long?
3 years and 6 months.
Okay, so that's exactly. So we're still dealing with the same time here. The same time.
When great famine was throughout all the land.
What am I at?
Luke 4:25.
Right, Luke 4:25. So again, I just find it real important that it talked about that there would be widows during that time. Anybody know why there would be widows at that time? But I will tell you the truth, many widows were in Israel in the days that Elijah, when Shamayim was shut up for 3 years and 6 months, when great famine was throughout the land. All right, we'll get to it, no problems. Revelation, the 6th chapter. Revelation, the 6th chapter. We're going to talk about it. If we can have Shalak nice and clear. We're going to start with verse 6 and we'll read down to verse 8.
Revelation chapter 6, starting at verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see, thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Verse 6 is very important. We're talking about the opening up now of the seals. What do you see in verse 6? Right, verse 6. I'll do it this way. Verse 6, what do you see? And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts saying, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Not more, right?
Inflation.
Absolutely. So we're talking about, like we had talked about before, now there's going to be famine. Okay, there's going to be pestilence, the wild beasts. There's a lot of plagues that's about to hit the planet Earth. But what we notice here now in verse 6 now is talking about the feast days. You see the feast days here?
Yeah.
It's talking about a measure of wheat for a penny. When is the wheat harvest? That's during the summer, right? That's the summer. And then it talks about and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt, and the barley is what season? Pesach. Right. And it says now, hurt not the oil and the wine. The oil and the wine is what season? Right, that's the fall season. So we have now, that's during the time of the ingathering. But this is what's important. In verse 6 now, it makes mention during the wheat harvest, you was able to get a measure of wheat for a penny. A measure of wheat for a penny. But during the barley season now, you was able to get 3 measures of barley for a penny. What just happened?
Scarcity.
Right, inflation. See, Mishpachah, it's about to get real rough. Rough. And this is the reason why you have the notes. Take the time, when you have the time, to look over what's going on. These things are outlined based upon the festivals. During the time of the barley harvest, things were plenteous. But when the next festival came around, look how the scarceness came. All verse 7, Shalak, please.
Verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see.
Mm.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse,
Very important, a pale horse.
and his name that sat on him was Death.
Right.
And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Hallelujah. Make sure I got this correct. Hold on. Alexia, how many people are on the planet Earth today?